If it's possible to get a DUI for this number of times that I actually drove while intoxicated, I would never in like 300 lifetimes get my license back. And that's assuming that it's like a 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. We had a long intro today, but I just felt like we wanted to go in that direction. So today is a new month. Did you guys know?
Yes.
What month is it?
April Fool's.
That's courage. Oh, yeah. The other thing I thought about today actually physically is March 30th, but by the time people see the video, it's going to be in April. So that's why we're starting a new step. We are starting step 4.
Step 4.
And the principle is courage. And so this episode is going to be called Courageous.
Come on.
So go watch the movie, but this is not an ad. It's not paid advertising. I'm going to go ahead and read step 4, and I've talked a bunch, so I'm just going to pass it right over to you guys after I read it, and we'll just have a little discussion. So understanding that courage is the underscore of step 4. It says we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I'll pass it.
I just love that. We made a searching, fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Fearless is the key part I love about that. And because fear does not have to be a part of it, which means we also take inventory of the good stuff, of what's good's happened in our life and not just the bad. Because when we just bring up just the bad stuff in our life, then that can tend to cause triggers of being like, whoa.
Yeah, I can totally.
Yeah. And so, but it's a fearless moral inventory. Part of that fearless also means that we're not doing it alone. Actually, we get to do it with others. Maybe part of it you actually will have to do alone, like, on your own, but we all get to process it together. That's part of the recovery process. At least through XCR and a bunch of other 12-step formats, is being able to process that 4th step together. And the biggest thing too is that this 4th step does not get to be the most daunting step. Most people around the recovery community say that the 4th step is like really hard and all this stuff, and it's true. It is a step, and it can be a difficult step, but it doesn't get to be because that amount is dependent on your level of surrender. Because for me, my 4th step was the most freeing step. Yeah,
totally. I don't think anybody would argue that.
Yeah, and so it doesn't have to be a huge struggle, because sometimes people get like, whoa, I don't want to do my 4th step. I've heard that's really hard and scary and bad things can happen. Not true. That's just dependent on your level of surrender to it, and willing to see how deep am I willing to go to inventory myself and compare my knowledge, what we've learned all the way up through the first 3 steps versus everything I've used to know. All the things I know now that are lies versus things that I know now are at least my foundational truths. It's tearing back the stuff I've built, and now I'm back to my foundation of, man, let's see what we got. Let's see where God wants to go with this. And so I love the 4th step. It's super rad.
I'm actually on my 4th step, and I've been
good stuff, man.
I've been sitting on it for a while.
Yeah.
But like all the steps, they're designed to be done with a sponsor.
Absolutely.
Not alone. And I've also heard in the recovery community that people stumble a lot on their 4th step. That it's even caused relapse. But that's why it's good to do it with someone. And anytime you take an inventory of yourself, it can show you where you went wrong. I mean, from the very beginning. And that's why it's really cool. 4th step is, I'm not tripping on it. The reason why I've been sitting on my 4th step so long is because I'm involved in so much other stuff.
Oh, yes, you are, Chris.
And it's like, dude, I can't find the time to just, I need to really force myself to just do I'm doing it through the NA handbook, which is, the 4th step is the biggest step in the handbook. It's like 89 questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's not just taking an inventory. That's
good.
But there's 89 questions. And I just need to what I've been telling myself is this summer I'm going to do a lot of bike riding and stopping off somewhere and just spending a few 20, half an hour, whatever, and answer 3 or 4 questions at a time.
Yeah.
Try to do it every day.
Yeah.
You know, until it's done, because my sponsor says after my 4th step, the rest of the steps are pretty much maintenance. So after my 4th step, I can start sponsoring, and that's really what the AA and NA fellowships are about, is actually carrying the message and helping someone else. So my ultimate goal is to start sponsoring, which I already mentor quite a few people, just basically telling them what worked for me.
And you've been on this journey for a while, and
Yeah.
I was at your drug court graduation. That was really cool.
Yeah. You're doing your 4th step all the time.
Yeah.
You are. I know you are, because all the stuff you're connected to, I'm part of a lot of it, some of it too, at least. And you live a lifestyle of a 4th step. And that reminds me of some other steps we'll get to eventually, but like making a living amends. That's what this is. This is like a living 4th step for you. It's just a natural process. And that's the point of these recovery steps, is so that they become natural and something we do naturally, without having to cognitively go, I got to sit down and do our 4th step. It's like you're actually naturally doing it.
I 100% agree with that. Because what I would say, the real goal, because I look back at the 12 steps and I try not to get religious over them and make them like, you have to do this or you're going to die, right? Like in the beginning, yes, you might have to do something or you're going to die.
Yeah.
But when you step back and you breathe a little bit and you're not in active addiction anymore, and you get some space to really think about what life looks like, there's this peace that can come over you when you realize that these are really designed to be kind of lifestyle transformation things. Meaning, 4th step isn't just something you do one time. And it even says it in step 10 right here. It says, we continue to take personal inventory and we were wrong, promptly admit it. So the way I've learned this is steps 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a group. 4, 5, and 6 are a group. 7, 8, 9 are a group. So they're like 9 steps that are basically 3 steps broken into 9 pieces, and then step 10, 11, and 12 are the maintenance steps. And when you look at it like that, it becomes a different way of living life. And so we need to be people that, so it really, you have to do that kind of one initial inventory. And I did that some years ago, but stuff will come up, and it really, the difference between success or failure here is, and that's why people will relapse, is when somebody's not willing to do they're like, my wreckage is so bad, I don't even want to go there because I'm afraid to drink again, right? Well, that's why you drank. But you're going to always have that, never going to get that freedom. You'll get abstinence if you're good at it. Maybe you'll get 10 years abstinence, but until you deal with that wreckage and that you can actually turn your face to that past and not have condemnation, not have guilt, shame, and sorrow. Not that you shouldn't have that at some level before, because we all know that those things that we did were wrong, but we come through that. We realize that Christ paid for it. We accept our responsibility to it. We make the amends that we need to make. We become free from that. And so there's stuff that I've done in my past and I'm not ashamed anymore, because that's not even who I am. And this is that step where we're actually taking that tangible leap. So the step right before that, we're giving it over to God. Well, the proof that we give it to God is that we're even willing to do this. Because I'll tell you right now, somebody who's not willing to do their 4th step hasn't even done their 3rd step. Because if you can do your 3rd step, you can do the 4th step. And obviously, if you can do your 4th step, now all you have to do is tell somebody so you can do the 5th.
It's kind of that way for every step. If you can actually get past denial, then you're really...
Well, they're in order for a reason.
Exactly.
Too, you know
but
what
if you can honestly do step 1, then you can really do them all. So actually, like what you're saying, if you can't do step 4, it's because you probably didn't do step 3. And if you can't do 3, it's probably because you didn't do 2. And if you didn't do 1, 2, it's probably because
it all goes back to number 1.
And so I think about this, and I don't know that I made a decision as much as it feels like it was kind of like nothing else worked, and there wasn't anything else to do.
Well,
so
you had willingness to surrender, to change. Something had to be different.
Yeah.
And you tried everything else possible and it didn't work. So why not give this a shot?
And you know what I would tell somebody? Here's what I would have wanted to know. Like, before I do step 4, because there was a lot of hype around it. And when I started recovery, it was back in kind of like 2010, 11-ish. And I wasn't in a recovery environment with people that were my age. Just about everybody was like 10 or 20 years older than me. And that was my experience, because I was in a small town, and, you know, it would have been different for me if I had more peer level people. But it would have been helpful if I knew the kind of freedom that was possible as a result of it. That would have really diminished the difficulty kind of digging into those difficult places. Because once you start, here's the one thing, and this is why, to Chris's point, when people start their 4th step, finish it and do it with somebody. Because once you start digging in there, those feelings come up, and you can't just put them away. They're now there.
You have to deal with it. And that's why, that's actually another reason why the 4th step is a thing. Because guess what? We're clean and sober. We get to feel feelings again, which means the feelings we've tried to suppress all this time, let's bring them up. Let's tackle those in a safe environment, healthy environment. And guess what? We don't have to deal with that level of oppression like what we've had before. The whole reason why we're in addiction. But like I was going to say real quick about the 4th step, though, is that's what you were saying about, you know, the first initial time you went through it with, you know, a bunch of older guys and stuff like that.
Yeah. That
is kind of where a lot of recovery communities kind of fall, because there becomes this like, you know, you were wanting to talk about how much freedom there is possible from doing the 4th step. And that's where a lot of the recovery communities can fall and keep their numbers small, and just all the other things we see, and why they're not growing so fast is because there's kind of this looming, there is, like, how do I word this? Like, there's not much joy afterwards. The reason why I love our recovery process and what we do here, because it's all about the transformation. All we talk about is the transformation. All we talk about is how amazing it is. But I've seen a lot of recovery groups where it's not talking about how amazing it is. It's more talking about just the process and that, oh man, you know, or talking about the glory days. Some recovery groups, all they do is talk about old using days, or you know, they're not hyping the transformation. They're not hyping the byproduct. They're just like, yeah, I went through it.
Yeah.
That's why it's really good here at our church. We celebrate milestones.
Yep.
I mean, it's super good to recognize accomplishments. Like, we celebrate people that finish their 12th step, the steps. We celebrate everything. The milestones, 90, 60, 30, all the way up to, I'm going backwards, but 30, 60, 90 a year.
We even celebrate 24 hours. And we celebrate all those people evenly, just as much as the people that just get a year.
Right. And that's important, because this stuff, first starting out isn't easy. And the topic being courage, I really don't know what to say about that, because I don't know where I found my courage. I was kind of in the same boat as you. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. So how are these steps going to work for me? How is this? But I had some stuff hanging over my head that was, pretty heavy. And I had some serious accountability to where if I didn't succeed at the program I was in, I was going to prison. So thank God for that. Because I wouldn't have made it, I don't think, if I wouldn't have had that rigorous, accountability over my head. So
yeah.
Would you want to say, Zach?
I was going to say, another way you could look at courage is courage comes from your gift of desperation, because you reached a place where the pain was higher than the fear.
Yeah.
And so when that desperate, I need this, it naturally will breed courage, because this is where you're going and there's no way I'm going back.
Well, and I figured too that if I'm going to do something, then I better give it my best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I sure gave it my best when I was out there using, you know what I mean? So I was like,
I sure did that too.
It's important that you at least try, because if you don't try, then you don't have the okay, the bottom or whatever you want to call it. You haven't got there yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yet stands for you are eligible too.
There we go.
If it hasn't happened yet, then give it a minute. It will.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like people that say that they haven't ever had a DUI, they don't have an alcohol problem because they've never had a DUI yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep drinking and driving.
Dude, if I had
you'll have one.
if I had
How's that working for you?
if I could,
Yeah.
if it's possible to get a DUI for this number of times that I actually drove while intoxicated, I would never in like 300 lifetimes get my license back. And that's assuming that it's like a 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. You know, I'm so blessed
Oh, me too.
to
Man.
not have more than one. I have one.
I had
And I don't
3.
even, you know what? I don't even have one that I have to report because I got it diverted, and I tested that out because I've been doing some different applications for different processes lately, and I have been reporting that I have never been convicted of a crime, and I thought, well, I don't know if that's going to show up. Well, it doesn't. I'll tell you right now.
I did diversion too, my first one.
Because I, like, personally as a believer, knowing that I did what I did, I have like this kind of thing inside me that wants to be honest, but I also want to understand the rules that we're playing by in the world, and there are good rules for people in my situation where you have a diversion and it does not come up. It won't come up on a rental background check. It won't come up on a job application. So that is something you can actually do, and you're not lying. Because I wasn't convicted, I pled no contest, but the way that diversion works, at least the diversion that I was on, is once you complete the program, then it gets off of your public record. Now, there is obviously still a court record that a judge sees, so that if you get a second DUI, then they don't give you another diversion for it, right? And I think the police can look up your thing and see that there's a diversion there. But I'll tell you right now, it's not showing up on job application. It's not showing up on renters applications. We're not going to switch. Well, in a moment, we're going to take a break. And I wanted to do a whole segment on this, but I just want to say for the group, we're not going to actually have a conversation on this one. We'll just move on to the next topic. But I am proud to be, the next topic was going to be, I'm proud to be tobacco free. And so it kind of fits along with courage, because it took a lot of courage to really just be a part of that.
How long? How long are you tobacco?
I have 1 whole year, guys. I don't think I've ever had a whole year since I was like 13. And
That's big.
even though like alcohol really was destructive in my life and tobacco wasn't destructive. I mean, it's destructive in the long term, but I feel really a whole lot better about the freedom that I have from tobacco, because it's that thing that I always went to. Like, you know, I just separated it. I was like, well, there's tobacco and drugs, and then at least I can chew. But it was still something that had my attention and had my care and my love. And I wanted that area of my life to be given to the Lord. And so, we could probably do a whole show about it, but I don't want to do that right now. I just want to say, hey, I got a whole year. I'm really excited about it. And then, later maybe we'll talk about how what that's been like for me.
How Chris still smokes.
Yeah, how Chris still smokes. But not to condemn people. I don't want to be condemning, because I was the guy who chewed tobacco for like 6 years. And I mean, I chewed it for a lot longer than that, but I wanted to stop for like 6 years. And so now that I have that freedom, I can't even explain how I achieved this, but it's been great. So
no triggers, nothing.
We are going to go to a break, though, because our time's running out. So we'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you for checking out this clip from the Position Recovery Podcast. The entire podcast is available on our other channel. There's a link in the description box below, so you can go check it out. The full audio program is available on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Pandora, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Finally, if you'd like access to exclusive members-only content, or maybe you just want to support us in what we're doing financially, head on over to patreon.com/position, where there are a variety of giving levels and one that is perfect for your budget. It's always awesome hanging out with you guys. And remember, many are called, but you are positioned.